Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's so nice to see such a big crowd here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Allison Rader. I'm the communications manager for the Master Association. Also, I like to refer to myself as the paper lady. So, and I'm joined by my colleague April Crockett. She's the communications lead for the Master Association. And we are so pleased and excited to have our partners from Waste Connections here to discuss recycling with our community. So I'm pleased to introduce Barrett Jensen, and he is the Government Affairs Manager for Waste Connections in Colorado. He's going to provide a wealth of knowledge and information to us on the do's and don'ts of recycling. And also Mona Lisa Young, if you don't recognize that name, she is our Ken Carroll representative for our Waste Connections representative for our community. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Barrett. Thank you again for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I love this turnout. Most people don't care a whole lot about what we do. There's trash, recycling, composting. So I'm really happy to see you all here today because there's a lot to it, right? I think you all know that, whether it's the landfilling, the recycling, the composting, any type of other waste diversion. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for Colorado. And this is a really good example of, like just seeing it of, this is important for our community. These are important things. And right, there's things that maybe you don't know. There's things that maybe we don't know or that I don't know. And having this kind of community engagement is critical as we move forward with recycling specifically, and other forms of waste diversion in Colorado. Because Colorado has been, wanting to do a lot, and it takes you all and us, right, to make it work and make it economical and truly sustainable for the future. So with that, I do want to kind of jump into initially our landfill side. Because a lot of times, I bring that up, and I have to bring up the landfill side because that's what I used to do before I came into government affairs, is not just with the private sector with Waste Connections, but with municipalities, I ran landfills. So they hold a special place in my heart, and they're important. There's a lot of opportunity in the landfills as well. Does that mean that that's all we need? No. We don't think that landfills are the key to everything, and that we're going to have just thousands of landfills all over the place, and we're going to be good to go. So with that, not every year, but this, specific year, no. We produced sustainability. This quicker. Okay. We did a sustainability report for our landfill to see, it helps us track kind of where we're at and what we're doing. So Front Range Landfill is located up in Erie. It's where not all, but a majority of the solid waste, the trash that you have in your trash bin goes to, because it's our landfill, and we're proud of it. So it's one of the largest landfills in the state of Colorado. As you can see, it's 326 acres of permanent landfill space. The site in total is about 460 acres with a 70 million cubic yard capacity. So we measure everything really in cubic yards of the landfill. Tons too. They work together. We measure them together. That's how, when we're talking with like the state, and we see how much that we can fit in there, that's what we use as cubic yards. And so, every year, and we bring in put it into tons, we can bring in upwards of 10 to 15,000 tons of trash a day. So the largest portion of that, about 30 million pounds of trash every day coming out of this area. Now keep in mind too, we also have a landfill in Sedalia, construction and demolition debris only, no green waste, no food, no other type of what we call municipal solid waste, just pure trash. Doesn't go to that facility. We also have one down in Colorado Springs, in Fountain, and then technically one or two in Pueblo. And so there's a lot of trash generated. And a lot of that is recyclables, right? I mean, And anyone is more than welcome to come out and take a tour of this facility. But you stand there and it's a very humbling experience to see this amount of waste going in. Some of it is absolutely trash. But you'll see a lot of cardboard, paper, that's going in there that just doesn't need to be. Okay. So Fermi's landfill values, they're really the same as our entire company, right? We're in 44 states, 6 provinces in Canada. We're the 3rd largest integrated solid waste company in North America. And we go by these values. And the way that I see these, especially being a previous manager for operations with Waste Connections, is it's really kind of like almost a hierarchy of decision making, right? What's the best? Safety, right? The safety of our people, the safety of our community, right? Integrity, customer service, right? I think, the customer service piece is, we're not trying to be mean, but if there's a safety issue that we need to address, that's more important than just saying, hey, we want you to feel good, we're just gonna do whatever you want. It's just not worth the safety of our families, it's not worth the safety of our people, right? So we'll always choose safety over everything else, right? Our work environment, to be a great place to work, we're a people business, right? I, as a manager at Waste Connections, I don't drive results. I don't make the money. The people do. The drivers do, the heavy equipment operators. They're the ones that do it. So it has to be people oriented. Or else you fail. And then with environmental stewardship, right, is to be the premier solid waste company in North America, right? We're constantly looking at ways to be innovative, right? Sometimes they don't make sense. And a lot of times they do. Sometimes it just takes time for technology to develop. And so we've implemented, let's go over all that. Like at Front Range Landfill, it's only one of 2 in the state, and there really aren't too many of them around, but it has a full gas to energy system. So when the organics do break down, and when the trash breaks down over time, and the goal is to make it, not decompose at all, because you don't want methane to start moving anywhere else. You want to collect it, keep it, right? And then in this case, convert it into a reusable electricity that can power about 3,000 homes in the area. And we put that right back on. So we're really proud of that. Those are expensive endeavors, but it makes the most sense. And for us, that on the landfill side is a true form of circulator. It's not the only form, but it's the most truest form that we have with the technology that we have. I'm sure you'd love to go through this. So we look at our emissions reductions, right? I'm more than happy to go further in depth. I'm not an engineer by trade, so I can maybe speak to about half of this. But when we look at our landfills, and it gets better, sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's better. But like for a facility like Front Range Landfill, its net negative carbon footprint, or its net carbon footprint is negative. Right? And that's a huge piece. And a lot of that's with that gas to energy system, utilizing sequestration by ensuring that our slopes are covered with not just soil, right? But we're vegetating that, making sure that the oxygen is not introduced into the landfill, that we're keeping it covered, right? So we can definitely go more into that on our site. And just a little bit about what these gas systems do. We have them, we have to drill these in and we collect the gases. A lot of people and a lot of organizations think that we're not installing these types of technologies and then pulling it, that we're just allowing the methane to just come out the side of the landfill and go into the communities. That's a big deal for us. That would be a huge problem. And we do take that very seriously, even the smallest amounts that we go over parameters, right? And CDPHE has to know, and the EPA has to know. That's why we collect this material, right, extract the deal, and flare it off in some cases into a less potent gas, right? We're always looking at new technologies. It's not the Front Range Landfill in a nutshell. I know I geeked out on that just a little bit, but that's kind of a jam. I don't know if anyone heard about the recycling facility that we're building.
East of Denver?
It's on the south side of Commerce City. And so it's, well, so it's right here. It's right here. You have Suncor. This is 270. So this is 60th Avenue in Vasquez, right here. So that's Vasquez. And then it comes right down here under the train tracks, under 270, and we acquired this property. And it's about 15 acres. It's been abandoned for many years. You know, unhoused people have moved in, and we're kind of always constantly fighting that fight until we start development. And so it's just been an abandoned, blighted property. It's a brownfield site that we thought was a great site to put this, because it is really difficult to find industrial properties that will remain industrial, that aren't going to, want to be great neighbors. I don't think Suncor is going to be super mad at us to put in this recycling facility. So, it seems like the perfect spot with possible access to rail. So we acquired that, and so redeveloping it from this blighted property into this state-of-the-art recycling facility. And just to preface a little bit, that right now, your recyclables that we collect don't come to our facility. Why? We don't have them. We don't have a recycling facility that actually markets that material. So we take it to, depending upon, the contracts and what it looks like, to go to EcoCycle up in Boulder, to go to Waste Management, WMM, or to Republic. And so those are the MRFs that we take your material to currently. So this facility being state-of-the-art is truly just that. It's integration of the newest technologies. Currently, what you'll see in existing MRFs is maybe a little bit of technology, but you'll see individual people, right, on a line, sorting material by hand, taking this material out. Saying, hey, we gotta get was there just trash, right? And some of the different types of, not so new technologies, will separate it another way. A lot of human beings. I believe our MRF down in Albuquerque, we have about 60 full-time people working there. A human being can do about 30 to 40 picks per minute off of a line. We're going to implement robots that do about 70 to 90 picks per minute off of a line. And then we're also going to include infrared optical sorters, right, that utilize light, that can start about 500 picks per minute and then kind of work its way up through efficiencies, right, up to 1,000 picks per minute at its highest. So significant ability to separate that material to where it's supposed to go. One of the issues that we see is, right, there's contamination in the recycling. We got to get that out. We got to get it to its purest form, right? We got to get, the PET bottles here. We got to get the aluminum here. And if those bales are contaminated, we lose value when we try to sell them, right? So if we can get the highest amount of commodity values for this material by separating it the best that we can keep the cost as low as possible because we're getting more money for our bales. What we do sell, which is about 2 million tons of recycling annually in North America with Waste Connections, it's a lot, right? So it still doesn't cover the cost.
So who is your buyer for? Do you have buyers in Colorado, or do you have to sell it?
So we market through, we have the ability, and we used to do a lot of the marketing ourselves and finding our end markets. We do have a broker that does a majority of our materials. But one of the cool things about Waste Connections is that if a local, district manager finds something better in Colorado or finds something really good in end market in Albuquerque, right? You can cut those transportation costs down, you can cut your carbon footprint down. We are absolutely allowed to pursue those. Right, and we expect through, and I know we'll get to it a little bit later, that maybe, hopefully, we'll see some end markets come into Colorado. It's just tough because, like I said, it's really hard to find industrial property. And these facilities are pretty massive. Paper mill takes a ton of water. So there's some things we may or may not see. And we're always looking at that.
So I'm confused. I thought you said you send it to Boulder and Republic. Now, so.
And I'm talking about the other MRFs, the 2 million tons. We do that nationally. We own over 50 MRFs across North
Okay,
America.
so you pick it up, you sort it, and you send some of it to Boulder.
We don't sort it here at all. They sort it. They're
So
recycling.
you take it to Boulder and it's sorted there.
And then they market.
And at Republic,
Yeah, they market it.
they market.
We don't do any of that right now in Colorado. That's why we're doing this.
Oh, okay,
So
now,
we can use.
I get it.
You said that the cost of recycling, when you sell recyclables and get money, that money is still less than the cost of recycling.
Yes.
But what materials really pay for themselves? Like you get enough money from selling them that it would really pay for the process of getting the recyclables to the market?
So, and I'm not gonna ever claim to be like the guy, I don't know all the things. But there are, like, cardboard is a good one, the markets can remain decent. I think they dropped a little while ago and it was pretty bad. It's hard to answer because the markets are so volatile. They're so volatile. One day you'd be like, okay, hold on, we're doing all right. Oh, no. Shoot, we just lost money again. If they're that volatile. But I know that like price per ton, and it's also that's subjective too, because like glass is way heavier than paper. So your price per ton is gonna be totally different. And again, that's not a really good answer, but I know that cardboard, aluminum, has pretty decent markets. You know, when we look at plastics, we typically promote 1s, 2s, and 5s as better plastics to market than the others. There's some within those, you know, 3, 4, 6s, and 7s that we're just like, styrofoam is one of those. That we just don't want to, we just don't have markets for them. So we take them to the trash. Are we trying to look at those end markets all the time to find? Yes. And are there like maybe small ones? Yes. But to get the volume that we produce and our customers produce, they just can't handle it. So it depends. It depends on what the market's doing right now.
So at this time, you think there are good markets for hardware, aluminum, and 1, 2, and 5 plastics?
They're pretty good, yeah.
What about just paper?
Oh, paper's pretty good. Yeah, so the paper's good. It's pretty consistent is my understanding.
Okay,
And so, yeah,
thank you.
yeah, paper is good.
Not glossy paper though, right? Not glossy, or glossy paper too. Like junk mail that has gloss.
Oh, yeah, so yes, the poly-coated paper. Poly-coated paper does not have as good of a value, because it has that chemical on there.
Right.
Poly-coated, is all I know it has, but it's called poly-coated paper. So I can do waste sorts. We separate poly-coated papers into something totally different, and that's a glossy paper that you see. Definitely not as good as markets.
Okay,
And so if you have too much of it, your bail price will go down.
but you'll take it? Or should we throw it in the trash?
We should probably let him finish his presentation.
I know, that's what we're getting to, like, this is where we're getting to. Yeah, and that's fine, I mean, I'm here from 6 to 8, so we can talk about whatever you want. But some of this, especially like with the recycling facility, will help kind of help you understand a little bit more. One of the reasons why we want to do it, because we can control what we do and don't take, right? And so we can kind of just go into a little bit. So this was our initial drawing of it, right? Where you have a feed stop that goes into a conveyor, and then it's like a Willy Wonka machine where it just goes in and then comes out bales straight into a truck and you can, or on a rail and just ship it to that end market, right? So, and there's a lot of those design and safety features in there. This is typically what the inside will look like with these bays. It'll separate out into materials. Sometimes that's before it gets baled. And sometimes it may go through an additional process to get separated even more. So just some happy pictures there. This is another, again, kind of what it looks like when you're in there. So, I mean, they're big facilities. Ours would be about 70,000 square foot. And so it's a lot of conveyors to fit into I know 70,000 square feet is a lot, but it's a lot of conveyors to fit into a small space. This is typically what for our design, the loading area is going to look like. So trucks back in, they unload, loader comes in. In our case, it will be a loader and an arm that will put it into the conveyor and then get it started on the process to be recycled. This is one of the robots we deployed. This was, I don't know if anyone knows AMP Robotics. They're started and are here in Colorado. We deployed over 50 of them robots across the country. So this one, there's the top view of it, and then this arm will go through and it's got this, you can see it's looking at everything up here and it's grabbing and suctioning everything and it's doing it very, very quickly. It's pretty cool.
So just a quick one question about that.
Yeah.
I told my buddies at tennis matches. So don't crush your cans. Because the sorters, do they, I mean, is it better for them, for like your cans to not be crushed?
It's a good question. I've sat on these sorting lines and I've seen them see those.
Okay, all right.
I've seen them say, hey, I know that's a new can, I got this.
Okay, so it kind of, it's not that.
I don't think so, but I'd love to follow up on that and ask some of our MERS
Well, it's
operators.
Yeah, it does say, it does.
But we don't own the MERS here, so we'd have to. But with the robots, they can find us. They can find us. All right, so this is the list we're all probably looking at. We're similar to this. This can change. My thing with recycling, and I've always said this and I'll always say it. If you're like, I don't know what I should do with this, if you're not sure, the best thing would to be to throw. Not to contaminate the recycling system. It will do more harm if you're contaminating the recycling than if you're throwing it away. And that's just how it is. I mean, we dealt with that with China, right? We were basically sending them trash. We were saying our recycling, but it was so trash that they cut us off. And that's when recycling went. We had no evidence, right? And even today, I mean, I've done some waste sorts at some of our facilities where literally I go through the trash and recycling piece by piece and separate it out. And we're doing okay in some cases. I haven't done Ken Carriage. But I've also seen some I couldn't differentiate between the trash and the recycling. And so we do have to be better. And that's not just on you, right? That's on us to say, hey, to get our messaging right. To make sure that when you do call in, you can say, hey, can I do this? Investing in technologies, right? Where you can go onto an app and say, can you take this? Or take a picture of it and say, yes, we can take this at our Denver market. We're working on those technologies. They're coming. And it is confusing. I recycle all the time. My wife recycles all the time. And I'll go through the bin and be like, you can't put that. And things are like, I've been doing this for 10 years and I still don't. Right? It's like that, right? So we do need to work on this together. We need to get that messaging right. Things are going to change a little bit with some legislation that's coming down. I think some of you probably know a little bit about it. And if not, we'll go over it a little bit. We can totally go into the weeds on that. So if you want to talk another time about it, more than happy to. Well, so extended producer responsibility. It was legislation that passed in Colorado in 21. What it does, in a nutshell, is the producers of all the packaging materials that you purchase are going to be paying dues per item. And if anyone lies like you're out of your mind, that's not right, let me know. They'll be paying dues to pay for the collection, the processing, the recycling, starting with residential, for all of Colorado, for those producer materials. So it's a lot, and we're technically the third state in the United States to adopt this type of legislation, but right now we're leading the charge as far as we're implementing in 2026. And so we have to work with an organization called the Producer Responsibility Organization, which is the producers. And what they're going to be doing is basically deciding how the system is going to work. Obviously with us, saying, hey, this is how we collect, this is how we process, this is what it costs, this is what it is, here's our challenges. And we all have to come together to figure out how to basically make recycling residentially, accessible to everybody, and then have them fund that entirely. It's a big deal. And the rest of the country's watching us like, okay, Colorado, what are you gonna do here? Because in our opinion, this could go any way. It could be very difficult. And it's gonna be difficult. But for us, when this passed, we said, listen, we're gonna do our best foot forward to make this work. Because it is important, and it's important to our community. We're looking at, what they're expecting in this, right, is our baseline 2022, that our actual collected rate, we collect about 29% of the recyclables, right, in the state right now. We actually recycle about 25% of it. By 2030, they want 40% collected, right, and then 30% or 37% actually recycled. In 2035, 57%. So those are huge numbers when you look at the entire state. So this is gonna be big and it's ambitious, and we're gonna do everything we can to make this work and really make it easy on you as well. Because things are gonna be a little bit different. So I can't read the top, but this is the proposed minimum recyclables list. So all of these are covered by the program. But the bare minimum, hopefully, right, the goal by 2030 is that we're collecting all of this material from your homes. And those are being paid for by the producer responsibility organization to be collected, processed, and myself. There's then the additional list, which are, some of the things that we just don't touch at all. And we haven't. So the goal, right, is to fund infrastructure and fund the ability to upgrade our recycling facilities to be able to process these and then help us find end markets. So these are all the materials that are on there right now. And it's still subject to change. Let's look at some stuff, for example. So like gift wrap. Do you recycle gift wrap? Yeah. No, that's on the minimum recyclables list. Right now, the non-metallized gift wrap, we gotta figure out a way to recycle that. So that's on that list. I think this is kind of messed up. I'm pretty sure that shredded paper, like we don't take that right now. That's on the additional materials list. So we need to look at ways, we need to start thinking about ways now on how to be able to process that. If you throw shredded paper into a recycling facility right now, just fly it. So we gotta figure out ways for those drop-off locations, right? Is it gonna be done curbside, right? So you got curbside drop-off. How are we gonna do it? So this system, the goal is to keep it intact best way as possible, and we absolutely agree with that, because it's with what we've been doing. But to find ways to economically and sustainably make those improvements on the system. One of our hopes for this is to make a unified collection list that we all take, that they're all the same.
Would this is multi-layer plastic? Was that on there?
What is it?
Multi-layer plastic.
And we can certainly get to all those. I've seen that everybody's brought some boxes, and so we can certainly answer your questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, So I know there's a lot there, right, with the landfills, right, with the recycling building, which we're hoping to open in 2026. And that's where your material will go. And if you ever want to come see the robots, like, separating your stuff, we're more than welcome to have it. It's pretty amazing.
So most of the, the grocery stores, we don't use plastic bags anymore to take our groceries out to our car. But everything that our food is in multi-layer plastic.
So they're
So that's a problem.
so they're flexible packaging. Flexible packaging right now, we don't accept flexible.
Oh. But I'm asking if down the road, if that's gonna be something that
It's one of the main goals.
in your new facility, if it will be, able to, it can stay in Colorado. Come from our house to stay in the new facility on.
It could go there, but currently we don't have end markets to sell that to. So from the get-go, it's my understanding, and I don't design the facilities, but that we're not gonna take flexible packaging right away.
Oh, I know, I'm talking.
In the future,
Yeah.
that would absolutely, because it's a huge goal of the plan,
Mhm.
right, is to take flexible packaging. And I think it's on the minimum recycling. It's a lot, there's a lot here. I'm pretty sure it is. If it's not on the minimum, it's on the additional list. So it's definitely on the radar of, we're gonna take flexible packaging at some point.
Is that online so that we?
Yes, actually, Kathy, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is actually being recorded, so we'll also be able to, if you want to review any of the information that's presented here today, you'll be able to see it. Right.
That's why I was doing this. So yes, this is online. This is on actually the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment's website. And I can send out the link,
That'd be great.
and I'll still send out this one too. So Circular Action Alliance, they are the producer responsibility organization. And they have webinars and they have presentations on everything that we're talking about. The needs assessment that we did after the legislation was passed was about 400 and something, like 80 pages. It was a lot.
So a copy of this presentation, is that available for us?
Yes, we'll post it on our website.
You're gonna put it on the website?
And just keep in mind, these are not set in stone for EPR. These are not set in stone. These are just what's proposed. We're not gonna know what the actual list is for another month or so. Go ahead.
Could you clarify what waxed cardboard is? Because I looked at the milk cartons and I assume those slip cartons are waxed. Could you take them? And then you specify that you don't take waxed cardboard, and I'm not sure what that is.
So like the corrugated. So if, do we have any corrugated cardboard?
Yeah, like these emblem boxes.
Yeah, so the boxes like this. So actually, some of the, not saying all of them, 'cause they make so many different things. Like it's got that opening in there. It's the corrugated, right? The multi-layered. If this stuff has the wax on it, that's what it's on. This stuff only, not the milk cartons.
So you do take milk cartons?
Yeah, we take milk cartons. Yeah. Sorry.
So, I feel like this is going back and forth. If you get a pizza from Domino's, it says recycle this box, but the bottom of it is inevitably covered with tons of waste. And I've lived in Hampshire, one pizza box can ruin like an entire load of paper. What's the deal with greasy pizza boxes?
So that's, what you're saying is true, right? I did a presentation down at District 11 in the Colorado Springs, and that was like, with these like fifth graders, like the big. I'm telling you, I can recycle this. I know. Right, it's really technically a judgment call, but when in doubt, throw it out. That cheese, that grease, yes, our end markets do not like that. You can pull the top off if it's good to go, because it's corrugated, most of the time it's corrugated. It's not corrugated, it's typically a.
But then, you know, it kind of, it's a little disingenuous of Domino's because they're telling you.
This is important comment.
Not seriously swear. Yeah, that's just, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's what we, I think it's called wish cycle.
Wish like,
It's just not gonna do it. It's sort of nice. So it's unfortunate.
yes.
What is that? Yes, wish cycle.
I've seen pizzas though, where you're like got nothing on it. I mean, technically that's okay. But yeah, the grease and cheese, we don't want.
You want to take any questions or do you want to, like, go forward with that?
I'm done with this.
Oh, all right, well, now we do.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that's why I was like,
Okay, well, fantastic, well, we're hoping you have questions.
start the left here.
So we have a horse barn.
Okay.
And we have little receptacles for dog poop, which we put in little plastic things and we put them into the plastic thing. So is there anything down the road for waste for animals?
Like, dogs specifically.
Well, horses, dogs, I mean, I don't know.
I know a lot of composting facilities that will take horse manure. I used to run a facility on the western slope where we did, then we started to having to challenge what food they were being fed because the chemicals were changing our compost. So, I don't wanna get too deep into the compost piece, but as far as like pet feces, we don't have anything, that we don't have to compost, we want. Would you, sorry.
Yes, on the corrugated cardboard, are we supposed to take all the tape off and, you know, the,
I do, but I'm an overachiever.
so I do too, but my hands bother me, so do I need to do that?
You're okay.
Oh, good,
If you can, absolutely, you know. do
but
it.
you don't have to.
No, you're not gonna make it that bad. And the
I
cardboard-
brought a whole bunch of stuff with me tonight to ask about.
Should sit like a table.
So plastic that's not 1, 2, or 5 throw out.
No.
No.
So I'm just telling you that when, as a consumer, right? For me as a consumer, right? I know that when I'm going to buy stuff in the store, if I look and I see that there are these specific plastics, right? These 1s, 2s, and 5s, I'm probably gonna buy those first. And I have, like, the EPA even has a cheat sheet on what these truly are. Do I know off the top of my head? Absolutely not.
No.
But yeah, I mean,
But
some,
if they are, they
some
have to
plastics
go
are
in
better
the
than others. Some plastics are better than others.
Okay, now I balloon. Do we have to throw these out? I thought we had to throw these out.
It's a little bit.
Some places do, we have many facilities that do take them.
Said right on the sheet here.
This?
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
It can change though. That's one of the ones that's changed. But the aluminum bins are much better than the aluminum foil. Where it's
This
been,
is not foil.
yes, with the aluminum foil is where sometimes it can change whether they get accepted.
Oh, okay, I don't ever try to do
But
that.
those are fine as long as
What about these things? You know, you get so much,
they have that liner inside of them, they're.
so this goes in the trash. That's really too bad.
The Amazon bags, there's like blue and white Amazon bags that can go to, be recycled with like plastic shopping bags.
And so those that have take back programs, yes. We don't accept those.
Will they take this? No, okay.
So the blue and white ones, they have like a little, they're a blue layer.
I don't get them. I don't get.
Yeah, we don't accept those.
They're all,
Okay, cardboard with, I assume this is cardboard, but this is paper.
It's paper product.
Okay, so if it has gold on it, do you want that or no?
It's that plastic in there that we don't want.
This, that was Nutty Fudge. Okay, so you don't want the gold in the plastic. Okay, thank you.
In the back. Oh, next, sorry, we're up here. I just want to left the right.
We hope for tennis ball cans, the clear plastic that they come up as.
You know what,
We have so many of them.
So real quick, I'm a tennis coach, I run some, tournaments and stuff. My wife, actually, what we used to do was cut off the aluminum
Oh,
off of the top and then recycle the plastic, but it doesn't have a number on it. But she contacted you guys and they told her it was okay as long as we took the lid and did that separate, that lid separate in this, but I sure wonder about the lid.
This lid's kind of borderline. This is a 5. These aren't terrible. What we see with like lids, they look at the glass. Actually, never the glass, the smaller lids. So you're fine with this one, but we're getting too close to too small. You're okay with this one. that gets smaller than that, I'd say it's fine. I don't know what type of plastic, I can't tell you, but I don't know what type of plastic it is.
Okay.
But I would say that's fine.
Right, so when it goes in, it does have this aluminum on top of the plastic. It's not just straight plastic, it has this lip on
I'm gonna have to, that piece is shrinking a little bit, but I don't think it's enough to make it that
it.
dramatic.
Because we do hundreds of these a year, I would love to do it correctly.
Can you, just keep track of that? So we can-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lady in the back.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Stuff like you give you, motorcycle, you have to rinse that out.
It'd be preferred to rinse out, but I think there's a, right, you do like a cost benefit analysis on it, I think a really good one is, hummus.
Yes.
It's so hard to get out of it, you use so much water to get it clean.
You get it.
Peanut butter. It contain, that food waste, is not recyclable. Yeah.
Basically, you want to clean up.
But we do want it clean, we absolutely want it clean. If you can make it clean and it's reasonable in your head that, hey, this is worthwhile, then let's do it.
I was gonna say, I've seen those things outside the site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people, that's,
I like to.
yeah. Yeah. We have her first and then we'll do you, sir.
So I know that most papers are recyclable, especially if it's just paper without plastic coating. I have heard that the paper needs to be a certain size, but if it's too small, then maybe it goes through a grade or something that you're using to separate. So what size paper is the minimum?
Shred, there's no like specific size. But let's just think of shredded paper, right? If it's small, if we're talking cap size, it's just gonna blow away, it's gonna go through the conveyors, it's not really gonna do much, right? But we have just normal papers, right? They'll make it through. So it's really a judgment call, but we're probably,
Without receipts.
no.
I know she's working here and we do a lot of projects with picture cutting and there are these little straps and so,
We can't.
okay.
Until we figure out a way to. But I think that'd be something separate, from the actual stream. We have this gentleman here.
Yeah, I'm wondering about wine bottles with metal caps. They have that holds that metal cap on.
I've never seen, what is it? I'm a whiskey guy.
Like have aluminum screw on top.
Yeah, or even with a. Or still fine. So you might take a 90.
You should do that.
I would take it off, but I think that's one too. I'm not exactly sure what kind of what you're talking about.
Talking about safety, it's like an animal.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth cutting yourself off.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good one though. I mean, in typical wine bottles, yeah, it's recyclable. The thing about glass though, just to keep in mind, is when it goes to your group, it goes in there and it's fine, right? Then we put it into this 25,000 pound, well, we throw it in there, right? And maybe it's fine at that point. And then we compress it, right? Because we're gonna press this stuff anyways, right? Which is kind of what I was talking about with the bottle, like with the aluminum cans, like we're compressing this into a truck anyways. To get as much as we can in there, right? So we're not deploying trucks every which way, we fit it all into one truck. And then we take it to the recycling facility, it's dumped on the floor, then a loader comes and picks it up. Then we dump it, I mean, the glass breaks into tiny little pieces. So when we look at our streams of glass at our recycling facilities, and we're something that we're absolutely working on, it's really hard to sell that material. It's full of ceramics. We don't recycle ceramics. So the ceramic, I mean, even our AI cannot tell the difference between ceramics and glass. And so it all gets mixed in there. And then all these caps and the little tops of you had that water bottle up, the little ring around there, those are in there. And then we're trying to sell those to markets who are trying to fire those down. Those kinds of materials will shut down, like Molson Coors. They buy a lot of glass. And it-
So should we not do glass?
No,
No, so you can, it's just, it's a tough one.
So we bought with the lid and everything on.
Oh, let's finish it.
I think we have one more over here too.
one of the things that they're trying to do with the glass is they're trying to take that out of the recycle stream altogether.
Possibly, yeah.
So
That may
that's
be an
one of the thoughts that they have. And that's one of the things we've been talking about at recycle, to take the glass out, bottles and containers that will come in and make that a separate stream. Now, they haven't decided how they're gonna do that, but maybe for the bottles, because they're trying to figure out how they can make that more of a viable, on it and not go through the sentence. So.
I'll never stop buying.
Okay, and so as they move through EPR, I think that's one of the things that they're gonna try.
Yeah, and that's where you can see, right? Clear and color, you can see a lot of this is curbside, right? This is the collection method. How are we gonna collect this? Curbside, this is, coming to grab your container. There's only a few options on here where we're looking at, like steel aerosol containers. We don't want those in our trucks either, because they can explode. And that's never fun. Aluminum aerosol containers, again, can explode. Glass may not be the best at curbside.
Here it says you can recycle something.
Yeah, we don't like. Don't like it.
So, on the side,
On the side. They do, they can cause fires in the trucks.
Ma'am, you had a question?
Yes.
Yeah, I just noticed that in some of the businesses in our community produce a lot of cardboard
Mhm.
that goes into the trash. And I know we're talking about neighborhoods, but just looking to see that volume, is there anything that we can do about picking up cardboard from our local businesses?
We do a lot. I don't know what the difference is. And like, so when we were doing that waste sort at our transfer station, we were looking at commercial loads too. And, every time a load comes in, like, oh, I gotta sort through all this stuff. First commercial load came in and it was like 95% cardboard. So, I mean, it's happening in businesses that want to do it,
Do they
pay to do it, right? The commercial, and I may mistake this, so please don't hold me to this. It hasn't been figured out, but residential is the start of this EPR legislation. And then it's looking at non-residential, non-covered entities, right? And, but we have to figure out, what does a small business mean, right? What does a public space mean? We still have to define those types of things. There's just so much that goes into this. And I do sit on the advisory board for the state, for this EPR legislation. And I'm telling you right now, we have to figure it out, and it's gonna take us some time. So we're just figuring out all this stuff. But that's to say, hey, small business, we'll pay for this. And then we'll collect it, process it, and get it out. So if it's them paying the issue, then that would be covered. I hope that answers a little bit, but it's really just, we're not gonna force people to recycle.
Understand why they're not recycling volumes of cardboard.
Yeah.
Can we have a list of which businesses recycle cardboard? Those are the businesses we support.
There you go. Well, and some municipalities have looked at, passing. Right, I mean, that's some have done that. I think Colorado Springs tried to do it. It didn't actually pass, but those are things the municipalities have done. To their businesses, said, hey, if you want to do business here, you're gonna. I know you're next.
It says empty and replace cap and then recycle. But you just don't want,
You don't want the cans.
so once again.
Sometimes you can ask me, I don't get all the answers.
Right, you don't want those, even though it says you want.
Can you technically, I'm not trying to confuse anyone, but can you technically recycle that plastic? Yes. How does it go through a recycling facility?
It's all
Not very. So
Just say no.
no,
No,
no caps. No caps.
What about on milk cartons? You want the caps on the milk carton? Okay, no caps on
No
anything.
caps.
Oh, my question on this guy is dog parks. I've been told, think this off.
Please.
And it says, you take the cap off.
That's one thing, there's three different plastics.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we're trying to address through, it's called eco-modulation, is breaking, is when we have these products that you're buying, not being so confused because we have 1 or 2, 3, 4 different products on one material. Because enough, if enough people do it, yeah.
So, but it says it's okay to leave on labels. And isn't that a label?
Yeah. It's,
Okay.
it's a label. So we'll still take it. What we're gonna do is it's gonna cost us more to pull that out of the system and then take it to the land. I'm just telling you what we would love for you to do. We're gonna grab it.
Sounds small.
Things like that, one of them can't, they also label it.
If you want, you don't have to, but if you would like to. I don't know who's next. Go ahead.
Okay, it says on here, no styrofoam recycling, so all the stuff that is underneath our hamburger and our chicken and our corn chunks and stuff, recyclable, each
Especially
always has a recycling label on it.
Yeah, that's one of our biggest, just, come on, kill us with this recycling. We don't have markets for those,
Okay,
so we do not accept those, and right now we don't have any plans to.
But if it's plastic underneath the food,
Like,
I buy ground turkey that's in a plastic container. And then it has that, like, the thing that will absorb the juices inside, which I take off, but then the plastic that I've been recycling.
Don't like the stack. If you break it, you'll see.
if it's a plastics.
Yeah.
See, people like it.
They're like multi.
So okay, so those are aseptic containers, not our favorites, but we do accept those.
So you prefer. To that one.
No, you can bring,
If in doubt, or it is recycled.
yeah, we'll take it.
Okay.
There's a chemical on frozen food, right, to keep it frozen. Some nurses take them, states, some don't. I personally throw them away. I think that's something we need to follow up on, what currently we're at. I throw them
What
away.
about the dish? What about the dish?
Cheese.
So my products that sell plastic are connected up to a 7, I know all of that. They're a combination of plastic.
Okay.
So it's been really got a recycle market with really have to. Yeah. And when you get here.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. Some places we do, some places we don't. We'll have to double check on that when we follow up. Usually we don't, because of what could be in them.
Because why?
Of what could be in the bottles.
Oh, yes.
So anything like medication, stuff like that, we don't take.
Sometimes people put their recycling in a plastic bag,
Absolutely not.
right?
Yeah.
Plastic bag messes up your guts, plastic bag.
Yes. Your plastic bag, well, if you put your recycling into a plastic bag, that whole thing is more than likely going to landfill. I heard someone say I'm still confused over here. I want to make sure that we address this confusion.
Good question.
Mhm.
First of all, we'll go back to the aerosol bottles. If 40 of us people are here, not throwing to the garbage, to recycle, everybody else will, because this tells us to do it.
Yeah, that's fine. You can put it in there. Yeah,
And the other
I mean, it's something that especially as we're looking at the legislation,
Yeah.
right? That if we could separate those out, that'd be great, right? Because we also own the landfills. And when you're in a machine and you drive over it and it explodes in your machine and you think you just got blown up, also not fun. But it's definitely, in those, so like, for example, the facility that we're building,
Yeah.
just the equipment we're putting in there's $23 million. Just the equipment. we're gonna build a building, deploy things, you know, so it's $50 million now. It said 44 million on there, but that was a couple years ago. Like,
And the other thing is, that's a. The community said to us, I never do it. Put your recyclable in a plastic bag so they don't fly away. I don't do that because I know it's a waste. But again, that's something that the community center for years, but I don't know if they had waste connection or what. But again, those plastic bags are not recyclable.
No. There are no plastic bags out there that you can put your recyclables in. There are communities, you know, up in like Oregon that piloted that. And then but we're looking at like technologies to put on our trucks to where it'll scan your material as we dump it with AI and let you know what your waste composition is. It'll say, hey, you had 40% contamination. Here's what you should put in there. And here's what you shouldn't put in there. We're piloting that technology in Canada right now. And if you put everything in bags, we can't scan. So it's always going to be open like that, but never in bags. And if we change that, I mean, that would be like a huge education campaign. But it's not going to change.
I actually have a suggestion. We're trying to do it the best we can, and we're not really getting the answer to what is the best we can. It would be very helpful for our community to get a Ken Carroll information, rather than saying, well, yes, you can, but we don't really want you to do that, or yes, in the future you can. What we want is right now. Amen. Tuesday. Wednesday.
So in terms of items that you can and can't, we actually do have those printouts here. We have a bunch of resources even on our website, including April actually put a link up there that it's know what you throw, right, isn't it? So you can actually type in and not have like an item and it'll let you know whether or not.
And have we,
The waste connection.
okay, cool.
It's not your problem, but it's our problem, because, yes, I read this before, and I still have all kinds of questions, you know, and to say that it's coming in the future is not really what we want.
Yeah.
So it's something more local. We want to be able to bring stuff and say, we personally want you to put that in the trash, or yes, we want you to put it in the recycling. That's all we want.
Sure, and there's a ton of resources like on our website to help. We understand that that's part of the reason why we were happy to have Eric here, because we're not experts. We can just take the information that we get and make sure that we are disseminating that to our community. So we are doing our best to provide as much education as possible, including this seminar, and we will continue to do that. We will put as many resources. We have a very good relationship with Mona Lisa. So anything that we can provide to our community to make it helpful, we will absolutely do that. In fact, I don't know how many of you read the paper. April's done an amazing job. She actually created a column called Green Scene, and it runs every other week with a publication, and it covers different topics. And she makes sure to verify everything with Waste Connections so that if it's another state that might have different rules, she does a great job making sure that this is applicable to our community. So, and I applaud her for doing that. So thank you.
To say, do not believe plastic bags.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's ever changing, right? It's not just what we accept. It's also too, how is it being made, right? Because we're using cheaper plastics. One thing today, your Hershey's or whoever could say, I'm going to use this now, and we don't know that until we have these conversations with you and say, well, I didn't know that was on there, right? So that's why these are so important, because the products change all the time. And so, you know, we should continuously have those conversations, right? And then the follow-ups and saying, oh, you know, we looked into that and that's totally acceptable, or whatever that may be.
What are best practices to get people to actually flatten their cardboard boxes? Probably 50% of my neighbors, just put the boxes out there and they don't fit in their recyclables, so they're beside the recycled box. And they've got box after box after box. If
For you,
there was some way to give them feedback, like the community driving around one and just putting a little sticker or a little handout on their front door saying, hey, please do flattening boxes or something. Because week after week after week, I can tell you 6 of my neighbors that don't plant nuts,
So,
and they haven't done.
And it is,
so.
that's fine.
Okay, so it's like in Boston. And our drives that are Latin, and then we are very nice.
Was that with us?
Yes, they're on the side. Okay, okay, so you're saying.
I'm saying that they should take it. It's not.
Right, so what we can start with is we can, add those little, here, I think they're orange tags to those, and I'll let them know that they need to do that if they see them.
Yeah, I mean, you correct it once and then, hopefully they learn. But right now, they just pick them up and they do a recap.
But you shouldn't have to have an extra step to those guys that done.
Well, but sometimes those guys.
So, and that's where one thing with this new legislation is something that's super important to us. We didn't just invest in those automatic side loaders just because of the efficiencies. One of the reasons is because that our people stay in that truck. Every time they get out of that truck, you'd be shocked at how many people get hit in residential our people get hit in residential neighborhoods every day because they have to get out. We told the state, we don't want to be tagging anything. So they've talked about hiring a third party to go do those types of things possibly, right? If we need to do it, and that's what you want in the meantime, we can have those conversations. But I think we have cameras everywhere on those trucks. We know, we have cameras on those trucks. We can see.
So the other thing that is that with
We'll
this
come to you.
conversations that we've had, we know that there is no one size fits all for this. And I think that the process will change, and we're still gonna have a lot of questions because, maybe one recycle facility take this and one another not. When we build our new MRF, there's gonna be a whole lot of things that we can do. But in the meantime, Barrett says that we can just talk to each other. If you have questions, send them in. Because we're gonna have questions and it's gonna change.
And we ask questions all the time.
You can send, you can call into customer service and they'll get in touch with you. Or you can send them an email. You go to the website, use, and send an email. Take a picture. And you send it to customer service, yes, I would definitely get it. Okay, customer service. Waste connections, yes. Yeah, and I can always check. if they're-
Yeah, they're really good about it. About ends, and they reply right away, no, please don't rush. Like that, about something else. They're really good at it.
We have a question here.
So for our Carol folks, we are all here because we care, but we're still confused. And so we've gotten great information, thank you. But perhaps instead of just language in the paper and on the site, could we have photographs? Things like a stack of box is not crushed with a no, and a stack of box crushed with hydrogen twine, yes. Picture of some plastic bottles, yes. But then next to it, caps removed, put these in your garbage. And spell it out there, both a little bit in language, but also visual. I think that's gonna help our community a lot.
I like where your head's at, because we are actually just making notes for that. It's what we discussed here, of like, maybe we do an article on crushing, like, on breaking down your box, and that cap shouldn't be in there, that you shouldn't put garbage bags, so actually April's taking some diligent notes, so that we can, because if that's what you're concerned about, then your neighbors are probably concerned about it too. So the photos, I was gonna say, are a great idea, so thank you for that.
It's a fantastic idea, because that board, that state board, which has 13 members, right, that we've been in the industry for a long time, it's some experts in the industry. We asked for the same thing when they showed us that minimum materials list, we're like, can you send pictures? Because I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what your PET thermoform, S3, I don't know what that is. Give me a picture. So
Why caps have come off, because of the size of the storage. And that explains a lot to me. But I'll have another request, much more difficult. You've got on this list unacceptable residential garbage items. And I have tried online to find locally where you bring certain things, and I can't sort it out from the hopeful to the not. So where can I bring batteries? I would love to have that.
I have that actually on the agenda as an article upcoming. Just all of the, I've been researching all of the recycling facilities in the area and where we can take those drop-off items that aren't curbside.
But like mercury thermometers,
Yeah.
I'm old and I still have my baby. And I need to get rid of it, but I couldn't figure out where.
Well, sure.
And each year we have.
They take the battery.
Well, but like, AAA batteries, AA batteries.
So not far.
Well, used to take the rest of the two, but that's maybe.
There are very limited, and it's not the business that we're in, we don't do hazardous materials, and I've done the same thing, I live up in Commerce City, and I was like, man, all these NiCad batteries I have, what am I gonna do with them, do I have to wait for the once a year drop off? You know, like, there's very limited places to take that material. I don't think it's necessarily the responsibility, right, of the municipality to somehow come up with all this money, because they're expensive, I ran the largest one out in Western Slope. And that was an expensive facility, and we still charge people. They're very expensive. There are some companies coming up online, happy to connect you, share those informations. Some of them are starting to do curbside collection. It's cost in addition to, right, what we do. And they do that specifically, and we do our thing specifically. So I have no problem saying, you know, you guys do it. It's just, it hasn't really come to Colorado. And I know it's just like, hey, it's coming in the future, but we've been behind. Colorado's behind.
Even besides recycling, like the AAA batteries and stuff, we did all, you can't throw them away.
Yeah, so they said on a different show, you.
No, you can't, because there's throw fires in the truck.
I need something.
Yeah, some do. Some do.
Big batteries, actually, there's, I don't know if you've seen this one, but there's like YouTube videos of where people throw big batteries into the truck, and there's like fires, like, you know. there's
Yeah,
about
it's-
5 of them.
In full transparency, it's primarily like the lithium and lithium ion batteries. Those are the ones that I'm telling you, I will hold on to mine forever. Because those are so, I've been in a compactor and flames been all around. And yeah, and so they're a big deal. There's what we're, not to throw them wet to storage, until you get into a recycling facility. The NiCad batteries are less likely to catch on fire, but they do. And we have a $50 million facility that because one battery was in there, whether it's a NiCad or lithium, it's just not. And we're looking at ways too, right, with legislation on how to address that on state level. We're actually looking at that this year and then possibly introducing some legislation to that.
Rooney Road Recycling will take, hazardous materials.
Rooney Road does?
Yeah.
And that's Jefferson
It's
County?
Jefferson.
County?
Yeah. And most of the time
Good.
it's like $30, but you
Okay.
could take I've taken batteries and I've taken fluorescent tube light bulbs.
Okay, good.
And all kinds of stuff.
Does the Charm facility in Boulder take your stuff or is that only for Boulder County?
I haven't researched that far outside of our community.
That'd be the next closest one. Out of county?
They
That's the
have,
only ones I know.
they have, like, you can drive it through and they charge you whatever. Yeah, they do take, some hazardous materials. I'm not sure which ones they take, but I'll give them a call.
Rooney Road Recycling Center has a list on their website of what they can take and what the cost is associated, what the cost is, if there is one associated.
Yeah, I'll call them.
What about to use? Chicken ground oil. So.
That depends on the markets and, a lot of times when we do get those in recycling, they aren't empty. And those will damage our equipment really bad. So we don't take anything typically that had a hazardous material in it prior to. That's a really good rule of thumb.
is that if it had hazardous material, especially liquid in it, we would not like, we do not want to take that, no. But I know a lot of hazardous facilities, they will still take those, and then they'll do what, I don't know what they do with them. But they will take those too, and they're typically free because they're empty. I mean, if they're really truly empty,
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you
Is
figure.
there a problem?
So that'd be the same with antifreeze and stuff like that too, all of that should just go on the trash.
typically, yes. But we can list some stuff out. I mean, I think more than happy. The pictures is a great idea. It's the simplest way to do it. What else?
So, okay, now, also the program on TV is being lived on.
Gotta do ways that we're doing that. Central. Recycle the cap and everything, but we still want to take those caps.
Yes, because we're the ones that are processing. Yeah, Coca-Cola and I, we said.
Gatorade says the same thing, you leave the caps on, take on. Okay.
Yes.
Well, you said you didn't want glossy paper. But I would think magazines, brochures, and catalogs, many times have glossy paper.
Yeah, but I don't think they're poly-coated with the same thing. Let me double check in that, but
Also say.
Well, this thing you just handed, so.
yeah.
Is that recyclable or not? To me, that's glossy paper,
Yeah.
We'll have to get your definition of glossy paper, on what we're talking about, like poly-coated paper. And then we can do the pictures with it too.
Is that?
It's more of a, it is a wax type material.
Is, yeah. Then
It's not-
was three of my examples, whether that was actually good to go or not.
Yeah.
It's recycled.
Yeah. You're welcome.
It is accepted. Fire is then the moment that you just-
Yeah, thank you.
And with the political fire, it's BS on it, and so much that recycled.
And we have one more we have another question up front real quick.
Paperback books, but most of the books are covered with laminated, covers, the covers are laminated, laminates.
Right.
So that's recyclable, you have to tear the cover off.
Usually they say take.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, the cover off. That's easy.
There's rules, right? And they change everywhere you go. But we accept up in like, here, if we send something to a different MRF somewhere, like Albuquerque is different than here. We set pots and pans down there. We don't do that here. It changes everywhere. And sometimes we do take those for a long time. Then we're like, hey, we can't take those anymore. It changes, it literally changes that much. So we're trying to keep up just as much as everybody else, to be completely honest. It's tough. So it's a lot of great questions, and things change and the products change and our systems change. So I do love the pictures.
Yeah.
We're doing pictures. How do you want, so some of the ones like, I just don't know. We'll follow up with, do you know who asked those so we can follow up?
That'd be great. Now, just do keep in mind, as amazing of quality that paper is, sometimes things don't translate as well to print. So like if we have paper stuff, you may not get really the context, but like crushed cans and caps and things like that, we will absolutely do that. So we will put in many pictures that translate well.
And it talks about no plastic.
No plastic bags.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Companies that very large, in terrace. Oh, good. I know, real well.
batteries. Yeah, in the newspaper.
No, that's totally fine.
Judging
That would be great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So much technology. And the only way we can do that when we're trying, they take like.
I really know what it does.
Okay, does it say take this number less?
They're only about 4 or 5.
So it's funny, now it's like.
I actually I almost have, kind of one. I got a little You know, that was my, but now I'm in that area.
Oh, you need ones, like I have. They don't have anything. We want
And that's not the point. On your own, people are actually recycling it correctly. Whether we can actually go back and every year. You know? Yes. I'm sure So I thought, my wife's Those are very.
I need to figure out that it's now I can do. Got very good stuff. What I feel like, I can tell you, I mean, we got something, so my whole thing.
I read about them and I I just read about that the other day.
It doesn't take that long.
I watched it.
Good, seems like you're doing fine.
Thank you.
That's why I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you're. Yeah, this and that, are almost, so that. See, Amy, that feels like it has something.